Hey everybody, it's Mahoney. I know I've been slacking on this. I have so much going on right now. Um, I tend to do this a lot to myself. I take on quite a bit more than I really should. But um, when I'm excited about something or when I think something is worth the effort, um, I tend to just go full bore. So, for those of you who don't know, I have uh, been working on trying to create a patient collective. Now, a lot of people aren't familiar with the patient collectives here in California, um, which is, to me, it's a little odd, but then again, a lot's happened. In 1996, when we passed Proposition uh, 215, the only way a person who had a recommendation from a doctor could get their medical marijuana was through untrusted sources. Obviously, at the time, there were no medical grows, there were no legitimate cultivators, so you had to go to your local drug dealer. And when they started these patient collectives, obviously these other elements, these drug dealers, you know, are used to working illegally. They saw it as money, which is really sad because what they were doing was ripping off the sick and dying. So we were at a conflict. There were, patients that needed it couldn't get it because their source was illegal and not reputable. Patients that were getting it didn't know where it was coming from. They were being charged with a lot of things, and if they were to get caught purchasing cannabis from these illegal sources, they themselves could find themselves in a lot of trouble. So they worked really hard to pass SB 420 or Senate Bill 420 here in California, which would allow a person to own and operate a dispensary as we know it today. From my understanding, you don't necessarily have to be a patient to own and operate this business, and that's what it is. It's a business. Um, because it being a business, because they were able to uh, advertise to an extent. Now, a lot of them have gone overboard, way past it. I mean, there's nothing that says that they can put up billboards and big flashing signs, which is where the conflict with dispensaries came from. In one sense, we need them so that we have a reliable, safe access to medication for those that don't cultivate, those that don't know how to cultivate, don't have the time, maybe too sick. Um, Good dispensaries are great to have. And although it can be costly, they do have an overhead, obviously. They have to pay for the lease on the building, security, and there are various tests that have to be done, as well as dealing with legitimate suppliers or medical growers. Now, the media has muddled a lot of that, taking anybody who um, has been using the medical marijuana more as a mask to hide their um, their less than legal way of doing things. And in a way, they've portrayed it to where it looks like everybody in the medical marijuana industry is a criminal of some sort, trying to just make a dollar. And it's really hard not to see it that way when you see all of these, magazines and expos and cups coming out where people are showing off, their unique cannabis. And don't get me wrong, if it wasn't for these people, we wouldn't have the selection that we have, the variety that we have. But it has itself turned into a huge money-making business. Um, and some people take advantage of that. They have their little clandestine dispensaries where they aren't completely, you know, above board. They do some stuff that's not exactly legal, and I I have a hard time feeling bad for these people because you had to know what you were getting into if you were going to start one of these dispensaries, one of these businesses. And the fact that it's made so that anybody who wants to make an investment in a business can do it for profit to make money. I mean, that's good and bad in a way. If we could standardize it, um, make sure that the quality that the patients are getting is medical grade, um, and that the prices don't get too out of hand. It's perfect for those of us, the masses out there, people who just need it right away. They don't have time. Unfortunately, there are those few out there that make it uh, difficult for the rest of them to actually provide a service. In a lot of areas in California, they're doing away with storefront dispensaries because of the way they advertise. I'm a parent myself, and the last thing I want to do is take my kids to the beach and find a guy walking around in a giant joint suit. Now, granted, if I was in a facility for adults, I would find that humorous, but they're walking up and down the boardwalk in a joint suit, telling everybody, come over here, do this, that, and it's as bad as the guy who wears the slice of pizza sign standing on the street corner with a sign saying, come in and buy pizza. Um, Advertisement's one thing, but I don't see people dressed up like OxyContin pills or Xanax pills dancing around in the street saying, go to your doctor and ask for these medications, because to me, that just doesn't seem very compassionate. That doesn't seem like you're promoting the medication for the need, of the medication to help with an ailment or malady that you are dealing with. Um, they're, they're more or less advertising um, the less than medical need, the euphoria, the high. And it's depressing to me because I have friends, and I myself, we have searched and fought and have been in situations where we had no one to help us because they wanted money. Um, so I had this epiphany. I was remembering how we used to do it, and I realized that now the way things are, a patient collective could be extremely beneficial. It's a group of people that know one another. We're pretty much on the same wavelength as far as our medical conditions. Um, if we are fully disabled, you don't make a lot of money being disabled. In fact, I barely have enough to get through the month when it comes to things like food or paying my electricity. But I'm just happy to be able to make it through another month. But I started thinking, how can I combat these uh, businesses um, without actually, you know, causing problems? You can't necessarily take on every business out there that has money that's trying to do stuff. And like I said, there is a necessity for dispensaries, the ones that work above the board. And believe me, I have met hundreds of people like that. And they are extremely compassionate and empathetic. And I have seen them on many occasions give away medication to those that truly need it. Now, granted, there's the other side of that. There are some patients out there that tend to play it up a little bit more in hopes that they can get more. I think that with the a patient collective like the ones that used to be around, the ones that I'm I'm trying to bring back. Um, it's not about making money, but working together to make sure that everybody has the medication they need, to make sure that everybody has not just cannabis, but with a collective like that, we're dealing with a group that maybe someone doesn't have enough money to pay for their electricity in the winter time, and it's only going to cost each of us $5 to help them keep their heat on. Or maybe they have a small family and they don't have enough money, even with food stamps, to feed them. And we can work together collecting things like that. I can't help everybody, nor can all of us help everybody. But if we start to work together in these small groups, helping one another, then perhaps we can, you know, lead by example, show them what a compassionate, collective is supposed to be about. The ones that I have been a part of in the past, not only did you get your medication, but we made sure that your kids had coats in the winter time, and we took that extra money and we helped pay for certain things like reinsulating some windows. We can do this by working together, as well as provide enough medication that a dispensary couldn't even touch. Some of us need quite a bit. Personally, I go through at least 28, 30 grams a week, um, and to be able to do that on $100 a month would uh, it's impossible even on the black market, because for them it's about the money. Whereas with a collective, we pay together for the power, the water, the nutrients. Um, there are those of us that are willing to take the time and have the time, like myself, to cultivate for the rest of us. Um, and it's just nice. I think it would just be fantastic to have, I guess, a family like that, a group of people that understand what we have to go through, that understands, you know, swallowing your pride. Not because, you're trying to get something for nothing, but because you need it. You need it. I mean, if it was just about recreational use, my opinion, I don't think it would hurt. But when we're dealing with medical, I think that there should be some more standardization. You got to be able to trust who you get it from. You got to be able to trust how it's grown, and you got to be able to trust that when you're using the medication, it's going to give you more benefit than harm. I get so upset when I meet people who say that there are no negative effects to cannabis, but any plant material you're going to combust and inhale is going to have a negative effect. Anything. And even if you ingest it, you know, cannabis is an extremely strong fiber, and I've personally experienced, and I know other people that have experienced uh, gastral distress from ingesting it. Now, granted, a little bit of flatulence and a little heartburn may be okay to deal with as long as it takes care of that extra pain, but it's still a negative side effect. And we all know about minor short-term memory loss and that horrible thing that happens called the munchies. I mean, some of us can just devastate a box of Twinkies. But you have to weigh these things out in your life and see what's more important. And the people that I have met, they know these negative things, and yet they still come back to the cannabis. And the reason for that, I think, was said very eloquently by Professor Raphael Mechoulam from Hebrew University when he said that he said people use cannabis because it works. That's it. How it works, we need to find out. I think that rescheduling it so that we can test it and find these beneficial cannabinoids. I mean, they're starting to really see that there is some truth behind this uh, rhetoric of cannabis being a cure. Um, there's some solid evidence out there, you know, uh, showing that this does have properties of of being a cure for certain things. Now, I don't want to say for sure what and how because, um, you know, I have a medical background, and unless I know for a fact, and, you know, double-blind study and all that stuff, I can only give my opinion. My opinion is I've firsthand witnessed people with horrible, debilitating, and terminal diseases. Um, not necessarily come back 100%, but pretty close. I knew a lady who had stage 4 lung cancer, and she started vaporizing cannabis because they said she had 18 months. She's still alive today, and that was 5 years ago. Her cancer is in remission. It's not completely gone, but it sure as hell beats the 18 months that the doctors gave her. And I've seen people who were terminal, and though they passed away, those last few days of their life, you could see they were better. They felt better. You know, they smiled, they laughed. The person that they were was back. And although it's sad to see them go, it's nice to know that they went on their own terms. You know, they went as happily as they could. So I'm working really hard to bring that back. I think that the future for cannabis patients, real patients that truly need this uh, this herb, I think the future is there, unless a miracle happens and the FDA starts monitoring it. But I mean, I see that turning into a big business too. Um, you know, there was a time when you had small towns and villages where they relied on people who understood the use of plants and the combination of plants. You know, a lot of us might refer to them now as witch doctors or pagans. You know, I don't. I think that they're geniuses. I think that they paid enough attention to the person as well as the botanicals they were using to grasp something, to understand something, you know, intangible that we couldn't see, you know. And maybe 100 years ago we called it magic, but today we can call it medicine. So that's why I haven't been on that much. Um, I also had major catastrophes happen with several computers. I have a very rare nerve condition that makes it difficult for me to hold on to things and be as steady as I used to be. I laugh at it now because it's been a part of my life for so long now that the strangest things become routine. And I can't just go through life constantly going, poor me, blah, blah, blah. I know. I know I'm going to drop something or I'm going to trip and fall, and I've accepted that. And what's important to me is to not let that little speed bump control the rest of my life. Um, so I found purpose in cannabis. I found purpose in my life. So I would love to share that with others. I would love to share the information that I have with those seeking it. Um, so that's why I'm starting up my cannabis talks on Google Plus, and I'll be broadcasting some of them live with special guests for those that don't live in a compassionate state, or maybe in a country where it's still frowned upon. You know, um, they can still gain the knowledge, and the more we know and understand, the less afraid I think people will be of it, the less taboo something like marijuana could be. Unfortunately, we went a little bit crazy, I think, with cannabis, and rightly so. But we're also paying for that freedom. Um, but I think that we are now at a point where humanity is becoming enlightened, and we're starting to see that you know some of the best things we can do for humanity, for our planet, for everything has always been there. The models and examples are there in nature, and as soon as humanity can figure out a way to live symbiotically with the environment around them and not actually do more harm than good, I think I think we will be ushering in a whole new age. You know, I guess 2150 would be the new age, the age of Aquarius, the age of enlightenment. I don't see myself making it to 2150, but it's a nice idea. And for those that don't know what I'm talking about, um, it has to do with that whole pagan thing, sun worship. Look up the zodiac sign, look up sun worship. It's a part of every major religion. It's part of mankind. Um, I guess that's just the anthropologist in me. So, but we don't have to wait till 2150. We can do it now. We can take it upon ourselves to educate ourselves and those around us. And although it seems like a very daunting task, I have chosen to take it, um, not just by myself. There are others out there that want to do the same, but someone had to go first. I'm not sure who that was that took the first steps, but thank you to them because you've led the way for the rest of us. And yeah, so I'm doing as good as I can. My house is a wreck because I'm I'm doing a million things at once. Um, and my health is up and down as it always has been. But today I've had a good day, and I've had some really good responses from people on this idea. So if you're one of those people out there, living in California, my area, even if you're not living in my area, we can do this. We can work together. So hopefully, I can get this thing off the ground with help. And I'd like to host a little soiree or a little party of those of us that are going to participate in this patient collective so that we can answer the questions that those of us have and figure out the best way to make this happen. I think that it gives me, no, I don't think, I know, it gives me great hope when I see that at least a few other people truly believe and feel the way I do. Because sometimes, you know, when you're presented with all this negativity, it's hard to see the positive. It's hard to see the beauty, but it's everywhere, and there are those of us out there. So it's a matter of getting this all together and creating something that's so beautiful. It makes the rest of it just seem rather pointless. So, yeah, figured I'd share that with everybody. Might be a little sappy, but you know, that's me. That's what I do. So, yeah, shit. If you guys think this is a great idea, or you have a patient collective that you do yourself, or some insight, and you want to help, or you have some questions, like always, feel free to leave them in the comments. I will do my best to answer them or find the answers for you. And if you have uh, information for me, I will make sure it gets out to those that need it. So I figured I'd check in, do my blog, let you guys know what I'm doing, and yeah, I have only been away simply because I've been working on this stuff. So those of you who have been worried about me, I appreciate it. Believe me, it makes me feel great that people are out there thinking about me and are concerned for my well-being. Um, but don't worry, I'm doing good, doing fine, um, and I'm just working on trying to share some of that love with other people. So yeah, this is Mahoney bringing you another vlog of what's going on in my crazy little life, and hopefully I'll have more exciting news. And I know I keep promising more videos and more videos, but I am only one person. I am doing the very best that I can. So until the next time, everybody, happy gardening, and like Bill and Ted and Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, be excellent to each other. I'm gonna go because I'm getting retarded now. So